Will the Lone Star Grill's grill and smoker actually smoke? Can we barbecue on this thing? Let's find out. I did a recent overview video showing the features of this and the attributes of this cooker, and I was met with a little bit of skepticism from some of the viewers regarding the smoking, the barbecue capabilities of this cooker. I mentioned that you can set it up as an offset smoker or use it as a direct heat smoker, like a vertical smoker. And like I said, a few of the viewers weren't really buying it. And one of the commenters, man, I'm talking like a comment on my YouTube page about this long, telling me why I was wrong. So yesterday what I did was I set it up as like an offset smoker. I had fuel, lump charcoal in a small split in this firebox with the damper slightly opened. I was using that, to control the airflow. This firebox here was completely empty with the damper fully closed, and the damper above that was just open slightly. So I was using that damper as the exhaust while this one again was fully closed. To my surprise, pretty much every cooking surface inside of this cooker was within that barbecue smoking temperature range. So I decided a great video would be, I want to do a decent amount of meat, and I'm dealing with my budget. So I bought 3 pork shoulders. They're all in that 8-pound range. I mean, they're all literally 8 pounds and a few ounces. So they're all very, very close in size. I seasoned them up this morning with just a rub. I used one of Heath Ryle's rubs on the pork shoulders. This isn't really a tutorial on how to cook pork shoulders. It's a put your money where your mouth is, Greg, on your comments with the Lone Star Grill's grill smoker. So as soon as I get this thing open, like I said, it's all preheated and ready to go right now. I'll show you the zones and where the temperatures are setting right now, because I'm running 3 thermometers, basically a fireboard, and yeah, let's do it. So right off the bat, I want to just take a look at the temperature gauge that's mounted. There was a little criticism about there only being one temperature gauge, and it's reading 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's get this opened up. So right now, currently upper grate on the indirect side, I'm running 240 degrees Fahrenheit. On the direct side, upper grate, I'm running 258 degrees Fahrenheit. And on the grate that's directly above the fire, we're running 242 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're all in the barbecue range. Now, I do not have a probe on the indirect lower grate, but last night we were running in the low 200s, literally 200, 202 degrees. So I'm gonna put this one right over the fire. Now, this cooker had been burning for close to an hour before I put the pork on, but it didn't take very long at all to get the barbecue cooking temperatures established and locked in. That's one thing I noticed yesterday is once they reached that temperature, they stayed there. It was very steady. The other thing I wanted to address is the fact that this only has one analog thermometer on the lid. What I noticed is if that thermometer, that tell-true's in like that 250 degree range, all the other grill grates, with the exception, again, this one's going to be low, but the top grates and also the grate above the fire, they're all going to be within that barbecue zone. So honestly, from now on, when I'm doing personal cooks, I'm just going to utilize that. I'll have faith. I'll know what's going on inside the cooker, and it's going to be more looking at the doneness rather than obsessing over temperatures, which I stopped doing a long time ago. Back in the day, I used to kind of obsess wanting that flat line, like it's an oven. It's not an oven. Fires are living, breathing entities, man. And as long as I'm within, the barbecue range, I'm happy. I don't care if there's little fluctuations here and there. Obviously, this is not an offset smoker. There's no baffle system running through here. So trying to achieve, the same temperature across the board, it's going to be impossible. Really, all I want is to be within those zones, the barbecue zones. And what I mean by that is low end, like 225, high end, 275, and that's where we're at here. And based on my experiment yesterday, it's going to run that way throughout the entire cook. And it stayed at those temperatures for a long time with very little management of the fire as far as, you know, adding fuel. Here's the setup I'm using. Right side as you're facing the cooker, firebox, full tray of lump charcoal, one very small wood split, and you can see where the damper's set. I have the charcoal grate setting at the very lowest position. Again, for smoke, I'm using just very small splits. I'd rather use large chunks, but I didn't have any, so I'm just using really small splits. One thing I noticed that was pretty cool was that upper grate, that entire upper grate was in the barbecue zone, so you could load that up. And obviously the grate above the direct fire, I mean, we could probably put 3, maybe even 4 pork shoulders on there. So you can really load this thing up with meat. Now, that indirect side, that indirect lower grate was running low. And by low, I mean like 200, 202, maybe 210 at the high end. So we're out of the danger zone, so we theoretically could load that up with meat, and then as other cuts are finished, transfer the cuts that have been pretty much pre-cooking at a low temperature, which is good, to the higher temps to finish them off. So I'm very optimistic about this, and we'll see how it turns out. I'll keep you guys posted as we go, like hour by hour. See you in a bit. Okay, the pork has been on the pit now for 2 hours. We're both going to take a peek. I haven't even looked at it yet, so let's check it out. All right, first I want to show you this analog thermometer here. As you can see, it's running at 250 degrees on the analog, and that's a good marker. I'll show you what the fireboard says. So 254, that is the upper grate, far left, so that's right there by the open vent there. 264, that's the one opposite by the closed vent, right above the direct fire. And then right here is the lower grate right over the fire, 242.9, so 243. All right, I don't want to leave this open too long. Whew, looking good. Here's that shoulder on the upper left portion of the pit. Upper right. And there's directly over the heat right there. So all in all, I think the cook's going really well. Again, one thing I noticed, and this is consistent with what the experiment I ran yesterday, is once those barbecue temperatures lock in, they stay there pretty darn stable. There's not any dramatic fluctuations up or down. So yeah, it's looking good. My strategy right now is, I mean, I could start kind of playing 3-card Monte with these and rotating them as I'm cooking, but I'm just going to wait as like the one, I'm guessing the one on the far left as you're facing the grill will probably finish first. It's the hottest part of the pit. And I'm just going to rotate them into that area there. But anyway, yeah, it's working. 4 hours into the cook now, still reading 250 on that tell true. And here's what the fireboard has to say. Again, number 1 is that upper left, number 2 is the upper right, and number 3 is directly over the fire over there on the far right lower grate. Take a quick peek. There is upper left, upper right, and lower right. So like I said, those temperatures have been pretty darn stable, haven't been getting any dramatic swings up or down. So looking forward to the end of this cook. All right, we've been going at it now for a little over 5.5 hours. Let me show you the temps. So as you can see, the analog is still right there, right around 250 degrees Fahrenheit. And as far as where the shoulders are in this pit, the temperatures have been pretty consistent. As you can see, upper left, 242.7, upper right, 265.8, and right down there, lower right, where, you know, right above the fires, 238. So the point that I was hoping to convey with this video is that you're not just limited to one grate section, you know, whether it's one of the main grates down below or a little corner of the upper grate to cook barbecue on this cooker. I know I've proven to myself that that whole upper grate is holding barbecue temps, and the grate right now for this particular setup directly over the charcoal is holding actually the lower temperatures, but barbecue temps, you know, in that 230s. So what I'm going to do now is pick up those shoulders and I want to move them to the hottest part of this pit, which is right here, you know, in the upper right as you're facing the pit. So let's do that now. All right, so basically this is what I'd want to do if I weren't making a video. You know, I would try to arrange the meat to where it's going to expedite the cook. So that's what I'm doing right now. Selfishly, I want this cook to end as soon as it can, but it smells really good. And again, I'm very, very impressed with how stable these temperatures have been. Again, I keep saying it, I haven't been seeing those crazy swings, and I really have hardly had to maintain this fire at all. I'm guessing every 1.5 to 2 hours I'm adding just a small split. When I mean small, I don't mean just short. They're pretty skinny splits. They're about 14 inches and, you know, like that. I mean, not the biggest splits in the world. Anyway, I'll keep you posted as this cook progresses. All right, it's been about 9.5 hours. 2 of those pork shoulders are good and done. One's getting very, very close. I'm gonna go ahead and pull those 2 right now. All right, so these 2 are done. And that one there is getting very close to done. It's very, very close. Just look at the bark I have on these. It's beautiful bark. Smells so good. So you can see the shoulder blades really popping out now. This thing's gonna pull out clean. Just really good bark. And I was going off of tenderness. Just very, very tender. They're tipping out about 200 degrees for those who care. I'll get these off right now. So I'm gonna let these 2 rest a bit, then we'll give you a try. By the time they're done resting, that 3rd will be done. I mean, it's getting really, really close. It's just not quite there yet. So I'll see you guys in a bit. All right. All right, let's see how we did here. First of all, this bark is pretty darn amazing. Yeah. Nice clean pull of the bone. And you can see beautiful smoke ring there. I didn't mention it. I realized when I was in the kitchen allowing these things to rest a bit, hickory. I was using splits of hickory. So it just looks so beautiful. Just nice and moist, like butter. So I was really, really pleased with this cook. I was worried that I was going to have to be screwing around a lot with the dampers. It held those cooking temperatures. Again, I really didn't have a target temperature because I knew I was going to be dealing with a range of temperatures, and that's exactly what it did. I mean, I had the higher barbecue range of, you know, like I said, 275 degrees Fahrenheit down to, you know, 225, 230 at that far, you know, right end. But it's, well, that really shows that smoke ring right there. I think it proves that there's a lot of versatility with this grill. And again, I had intended on doing this video anyway, or a video like this where I was using it as a smoker, but I was getting a lot of comments that, you know, a lot of people, and I get it, were not real optimistic that it would actually be able to cook like an offset. And I think it proved itself. Every cooking surface inside that cooker was at a barbecue temperature. You know, again, I didn't use the one on the right, the far right, lower grate. That was at a very low, you know, like I said, 200, 210, but you could still start things off in there. And another option would be you know, if you wanted to, if you're cooking a bunch of meat, to just keep a rotation going, you know, to keep them all kind of cooking at the same rate. I was just more curious of how they would cook almost to the end in all those zones. Then ultimately at the end, because I'm getting ready to lose sun right now, I just wanted to make sure that I had something that I could show, you know, while it was still light. That's just beautiful. Very moist, very, very juicy. And I used Heath Ryle's his cherry rub. It's good. Wow. Thank you for stopping by. If you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscription button. Make sure you ring the notification bell and thumb up the video if you liked the video. Really hope you did. I have 2 more pork shoulders to pull, so my neighbors are going to be really happy about that. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Keep those suggestions coming in. Cheers.